A little bit on how that connects with grief. Because if you've lost, someone has died that's very, very close to you, and you're in that state of grief, you know, that's a story that sometimes you just have to speak of it in order to help yourself. Can you just touch on that? I'm not sure.
Sure. The grief is a very, very real emotion, and we do have to deal with it when we lose people. When Yeshua died, they grieved over him. When he decided not to be with them through appearances anymore, they also grieved over him, and he sent the Holy Spirit to them. He grieved when he thought Lazarus was dead. He wept. There's nothing wrong with expressing the emotions that go with the stories.
Well, Glenda, you did so beautifully in the book there, though, is I helped so many people with that. Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. No one realizes that what he said was to release, to let it all out. And then when you mourn, then you let go of that, and then you can let the love flow again.
Yes. Well, he actually described the difference between grieving and mourning in the book. And grieving is where we pour energy into the story. Mourning is where we release the energy from which the story was built. In other words, to build every story, you have to. This is one of the reasons we're so tired. You ever just felt so tired? You got a good night's sleep, you had a good breakfast, and you were just so doggone tired, you didn't know how you were going to get through the day? One of the best ways to get over that exhaustion is look at what story you're investing all that energy in. It's true. Have you ever noticed that when you release a story, you have this burst of energy? Whether it's a sad story or even a good one. You've been there, you've done that, you let go of it, and you're there at least in peace or possibly quite energetically empowered. You've got this burst of energy. We invest a lot of energy in the stories we build, so those stories better serve us very well. They better create something very special because we're putting a lot of our spiritual dollars into them. Just know that. Okay, some of these stories just aren't worth the spiritual dollars. And we can actually let go of those stories by returning the flow to our life, by releasing that energy and letting the grief become mourning. It's an expression of mourning. And this may also help, is to realize that when you lose someone, you've only lost them on that particular stage setting of that particular story. And I can give you a very personal experience of that. My mother and I were very close. We loved each other very deeply. In her last days, though, because of her health and her mental fluctuations, she had to be in a very high care unit. And my brother and sister were taking care of her in Texas, and I needed to be in Arizona. And I called her every few days, and most days she really knew who I was, and we had a great talk. So I would stay in touch with her by telephone and go visit her frequently. That's just a background too. In fact, I just want you to know that it's not that I was not in touch with her, but suddenly, in an unexpected way, my brother called and he said, "Mother's leaving." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, she just suddenly went into a state of pneumonia and they know she doesn't have the energy to pull out. And I said, "Well, how long do you think she has?" Because I was thinking about getting on a plane and going from Arizona to Texas, but that's quite a long haul. It takes a lot of hours, because it takes 2.5 hours just to get in a car and get down to Phoenix from where I live in Sedona. And then it would be a 3.5-hour flight if I could get an immediate plane. That's a big if. And my brother, he said, don't come, Glenda. He said, "She'll be gone before you get here." And he said, "Just make your arrangements and come tomorrow, and just try to be at peace tonight while it's all happening." And I get a little choked up talking about it because I'm still so close to her. But what my husband and I decided to do is we went to our favorite place in Sedona, which was still open to hiking then. It was called Rachel's Knoll, and it's one of the beautiful bluffs that overlooks the glorious hillsides and the red rocks in Sedona. And it was right at sunset when we got there. And we took a bottle of wine. We were going to say toast to my mother. And so there we were. It was just at sunset. And I could feel her across the hills. It's like I could feel through the dimensions. And I really, really could feel the physical energy that we shared, the many times we were together and the times we hugged. And I was reaching across to try to touch her one last time. Just with the ectoplasm, or through the plasma. I just wanted to touch her however I could. And right at that moment, I saw this image of her face over the horizon, and I heard her voice come in my heart. And she said, Glenda, don't look for me there any longer. That was the place of my issues. Now I will be with you through the place of my heart. And we connected so powerfully on that other place. And she actually didn't fully make her transition for about another 4 or 5 hours. But she sent that message to me because she did not want me to stay locked into that place where she and I had processed our various stories. We shared a lot of stories together, and I'll always love the stories. And, even now, I've still got a little mourning to do, and probably always will. But the thing is, I can let it out. And I can smile about it, because I know that neither she nor I are locked into that place. That's the difference between mourning and grief. And I've lost a lot of loved ones in my life. That's one of the things that happens by living to be, past 30.
When my father died, I was in an airplane going to be with my mother because he drowned. He had a heart attack and drowned. And they were up at the lake, and I was on the plane, and I felt his presence, and I heard, death is not an ending but a beginning. Look to your soul for comfort, for within your soul shines the light of the eternal flame.
Beautiful. And I have found that going through this experience with my mother has actually given me a new birth. It's sort of like she helped birth me into a certainty of that second reality. That is a continuous place, and our stories don't end. I reminisce and I relive our stories all the time. But I do more and more with smiles and less with tears, and I enjoy her on this side more and more with smiles and less with uncertainty. It's like sometimes she was my biggest fan as a painter, and she really supported my career, and I'll be painting, and I'll say, Mom, what do you think about this? Yeah, no, I don't like that. No, rub that out. That's not good. You can do better than that. She'll be there. We really don't change that much from one dimension to the next because we are who we are. We really are. Sometimes I think we're conditioned to think that in the other dimension, we just become this unrecognizable angel that just plays harps. No. We are the rare, unique persona that we are forever. But in that realm where there's less resistance, we're also more creative there. We're more connected to our Creator. We're more connected to joy. We're more connected to our fulfillment, to the love that we are.